Okay, so we have our turtle imported. We've called it Mr. Sus. We've colored it pink. It's on a black background. Its pen is up and it's a square. Let's say we wanted to do something like move it forward 50. In so doing, I'm using directions rather than coordinates. So for example, Mr. Sus is going to move forward 50 here. If I press run, there it goes, moving forward 50. But let's say I wanted to do coordinates. How do I do that? So the first thing I would do is I'd do x list, and I'd decide to put some things in here. Let's say x at the beginning, let's call it 0, and then I want it to be x50. Then with regards to the y list, let's say, yeah, 0, we want the first coordinate to be 0, 0, and the second, let's say, is plus 35. And so what I really want to do is to have this Mr. Sus to stay at 0, 0, and then I want it to go to x equals 50, y equals 35. And so what I then do is I say something like, first of all, let's make a quick loop. And in that loop, I would like it to move forward for 2 cycles. Let's say 2 cycles, keep things simple at this point. So how do I make a loop? I say for, let's say, x in range. And with regards to the range, let's say we wanted to have it twice, and we would like it to, our turtle, which is Mr. Sus, to go to, so I use the phrase go to. And notice it's giving us some information about go to straight away. It says go to. It's a tuple, another pretty much a list in which you're going to suggest where you want it to go in terms of x and where you want it to go in terms of y, and this will cause it to move to that coordinate. So let's have a go at that. So what do we want? We want it to go to the x list value and the y list value. But particularly we want it to go to the first x list value first. So I'm going to say when we're on the first one, why not simply just say when x is 1. So we put in the x list and it is x, so when x is 1, we'll have that one. And then the same will happen for the y list. We want it to be when x is 1. And I'll describe this in a little bit more detail in one moment. And then in addition to that, it should do so twice. So then it'll be when the first position and the second position. And again, bear with me with regards to the description. Let's just see what happens. So if we can see movement there, let's change the speed of it so we can see a little bit more. So we got Mr. Sus dot speed this time, and we'll make it speed 1. And let's run. And there you go. Now you can see it going. And notice where it goes. It goes from 0, 0 to 50, 35. It's a mouthful for some reason. Okay, so here we go. Let's have a quick discussion as to the constructs in this one. What do we have? The first thing to recognize is that what I'm doing is I'm having a situation wherein x is placed inside the x list section. And what that means is, first of all, we need to know what x is representing, what numbers are coming out with regards to x. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in print x so that we can see it. And so when I print x, you can see how it gave me 0 and then 1, 0 and then 1. So what therefore we need to be aware of is that the first situation is the number 0 travels into this value here. The Mr. Sus is going to go to x list 0. And that's the same as saying it's going to go to the first value, which we call the 0th value. In terms of the y is going to do the same. In the y list, you're going to go to the 0 position. And for that, that is also 0. And so the first thing that the thing does is it just stays at 0, 0. The next thing then is the same pattern, but for the second value. And notice that with the second value, we had 1. So what happens here? 1 will go into x list, and 1 will go into y list. This is the same as saying that we want Mr. Sus to go to the next number in the list, which was 1. This is the X list. And the next number in the Y list, which was 35. Overall, this pattern, using a loop, will allow for us to move through coordinates. So for example, let's add another one. We could say, for example, we put a 100 and we put a minus 100. Or let's keep it a little bit shorter. Let's say 10 and 10. Then what happens is it should go 0, 0, then 50, 35, and then 10 minus 10. So you should see starting to move downwards. Let's make that downwards nice and clear. For this to be the case, this time we wanted to read 3 separate things. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say I want you to cycle through 3. It's then going to put the X value of the first one, 0. It'll read the first one, then 2. It'll read the second one, then 3. It'll read the third one. The same will go for the Y list. So let's see what it looks like. And you see there, it was a little bit strange, but it did do it. Let's watch it one more time. We've got that. And just so we can see that pattern manifest, let's also put that pen down. So I'm simply just going to remove the pen up so we can see the shape that it produces. And there it is. Starts at 0, 0, goes to 50, 35, and then ends up at 10 minus 30. And so one other thing I'm going to throw in here, just as to make things a little bit more interesting, is just some other things to recognize. So for example, you could do Mr. Sus.circle, and you can make it move a radius of 50 and an angle of 125 whilst it loops through those 3, and then you end up with we end up with things like that. And so the point really is that it's going to loop through 3 times, and you've asked it to loop through the list. And so from now on, therefore, it's possible to make your turtle do coordinates.